Black History Month invites us to reflect deeply on the past, honor the resilience of Black communities, and recognize the ongoing journey toward healing and equity. Today, as I proudly wear my traditional attire in celebration, we delve into the intersection of ethnocultural foods, culture, and identity. As you know, food serves as a powerful connector, reflecting our heritage and shared experiences. As the saying goes, our food makes our culture, and our culture is who we are. We will also explore the engaging activities and events that Conestoga Student Engagement has organized to honor this significant month. Welcome to your Conestoga Today. This episode is where we celebrate diversity, Black heritage, and the central piece of culture, food. I'm your host, Mamuzo Wonkoro. Now, before we kick off the show, I encourage you to follow CCDTV on all of our platforms. By joining our online community, you will stay updated on the latest events, gain access to exclusive content, and connect with fellow viewers who share your interests. So, what's the excuse? Click the follow button and the subscribe button on YouTube and join our active online community. Together, we can foster a sense of belonging and engagement, enriching our collective experience. Now, we do have a special story for you today, and my question for you is, what's on your plate? Food is a language that we all understand, regardless of our beliefs or origin. It's a narrative of heritage, a link to ancestry, and a celebration of culture. However, when people migrate to new lands, this culinary connection often faces challenges. The familiar aromas and flavors that once defined home become scarce, leading to a profound sense of loss. Research indicates that second-generation American and international university students experience diminished well-being due to reduced access to cultural foods, underscoring the importance of these culinary traditions in maintaining cultural identity. Well, let's bring it home. In Canada, immigrants face unique food challenges. A study focused on immigrant families in Saskatchewan revealed that children from the families surveyed often experience significant dietary changes upon arrival. Now, these changes can lead to nutrient inadequacies as traditional foods become less accessible and new dietary patterns emerge. This lack of access can lead to unintended dietary shifts. In the absence of traditional ingredients, many turn to readily available, often unhealthy processed foods. It's a troubling reality that unhealthy food is cheap, making it an accessible yet detrimental alternative. This shift contributes to rising rates of diet-related illnesses such as diabetes and cardiovascular diseases, particularly among immigrant populations. The phrase, "you are what you eat," encapsulates the notion that our health, happiness, and well-being are inseparably interconnected with what we eat. The economic implications of poor dietary habits are substantial. Health Canada estimated that the cost of unhealthy eating to Canadian society in 1998 were $6.6 billion, with $1.3 billion attributed to direct healthcare costs. Furthermore, the affordability of food remains a significant issue. In 2022, Canadians spent on average 11% of their income on food. However, this percentage is much higher for a low-income household, with some spending up to 23% of their income on groceries. Now, this disparity underscores the burden of increased food costs on vulnerable populations. Now, with considerations to the spiraling effect of the inaccessibility of healthy foods, some immigrants have established ethnic grocery stores, and others have taken to growing their own indigenous foods to provide a taste of home and a means to preserve their identity. One of such organizations is Majestic Roots Foundation. We will discuss with the founder later in the show. But here is the takeaway. We should consider the broader societal factors that influence our food choices and work towards a future where everyone has access to nutritious and culturally significant foods, recognizing that the contents of our plates tell stories of our culture and identity. As we celebrate Black History Month, there is no better time than now to work towards preserving ethnocultural foods and acknowledging that they not only warm up our stomachs, but also our hearts. Ultimately, in understanding what's on our plate, we gain insight into who we are. Well, thank you for listening to my TEDx talk. The top of your weekend experience is our movie review. After all, it's TGIF, so let's first explore 3 compelling films that delve into the intricate relationship between food, health, and cultural identity. These selections are readily available on your popular streaming platforms and offer profound insights into how our dietary choices and access to traditional foods shape our lives. First on my list is What's the Health? This eye-opening documentary examines the link between diet and disease, shedding light on the health risks associated with processed foods and the influence of major food and pharmaceutical industries. The film challenges viewers to reconsider their eating habits and the societal norms surrounding food consumption. Second is A Nation's Feast. Directed by Sharon Yonit Mazumdar, a young boy of about 15 years old, this documentary spotlights the often overlooked stories of immigrants who have shaped America's food culture. Through compelling visuals and narratives, it celebrates the people behind diverse cuisines, emphasizing the cultural richness they bring to our tables. The film underscores the challenges immigrants face in preserving their culinary traditions amidst new environments. And Hungry to Learn, this poignant film by Soledad O'Brien and Jetta Ganber introduces us to college students grappling with food insecurity. It reveals the harsh reality of students who, despite striving for academic success, struggle to afford nutritious meals. The documentary highlights the broader issue of food inaccessibility and its impact on health and education. Each of these films offers a unique perspective on the complex interplay between food, health, and cultural identity. They encourage us to reflect on our own dietary choices and the societal structures that influence them. Happy viewing, and maybe the stories inspire meaningful conversations within our community. Now, we'll take a commercial break, and when we return, I will be speaking with the Associate Director of the Student Engagement Team, or rather, one of the teams from the ABC community here at Conestoga, and Esther Hayford, the Student Engagement Programmer Inclusion and Belonging. Stay with us, we will be right back. It's all about Black History Month this episode.
Good luck today.
Thanks, man.
How I'm loving life these days. I see it falling into place. It's coming together. I don't even need to chase it. You see it written on my face. It's the right time, right place. How I'm loving life these days. It's the right time, right place. How I'm loving life these days.
As we honor Black History Month, Conestoga College proudly joins the global community in celebrating the rich Black heritage, its achievements and contributions. This observance not only acknowledges the profound impact of Black individuals throughout history, but also reinforces our institution's unwavering commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. At Conestoga, we strive to create a welcoming environment where every student feels valued and empowered. Our student engagement team plays a pivotal role in this mission, organizing events and initiatives that highlight the diverse cultures within our community. Today, we are delighted to have members from the Student Engagement team with us to discuss the array of activities planned for this year's Black History Month celebrations. We will explore how these events not only honor Black history, but also enrich our campus culture and foster a deeper sense of belonging among all students. So let's dive into this conversation, and welcome to you, ABC Committee member Leslie Kamamo and Esther Hayward, who is their programmer, Student Engagement Programmer, Inclusion and Belonging. Good to have you both in the studio today. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having us.
That's great. And I see you look very African, like I'm looking very African. I also like the inscription on your shirt. I am I'm innovative, educated, African, strong, kind. Whoa,
Yeah.
good attributes for an African.
To represent.
That's beautiful. I like that. So let's talk about the plans you have for Conestoga College as we celebrate Black History Month. Esther?
Okay, so at Student Engagement, we know that you can't contain Black History Month in a month. And so all year, we have programming for our African, Black, and Caribbean identifying students. Okay. That's long, so I'm just going to say ABC students. And so in February, we intensify our activities and our events for our Black students. The theme for Black History Month nationally is leadership. It focuses on leadership. But at Conestoga, we decided that we would celebrate Black joy.
Awesome.
And spread it. And so we just choose to focus on the positives. So we are celebrating our Black leaders, Black faculty, Black staff, Black student leaders. We are spreading the joy and just celebrating and highlighting the positives also in our community. Black History Month at Conestoga has expanded significantly. And so this year, we decided that we will make it a multi-campus event. In the past, we've just maybe had one event for our ABC students in a room. But this year, we decided that we would expand it.
Oh, are you having a carnival?
And invite the whole college to the celebration. And so it's participatory and it's interactive and it's also welcoming. And so in doing that, we joined forces. We invited departments to join us. And so we joined forces with student residents at Doon, the library. CSI is our strong partner.
For sure.
And employee experience and development. And Leslie here will tell you more about how we are producing meaningful and exciting events for our students.
That's good to know. Sounds like an exciting lineup already. So Leslie, you took it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Mamuza, for having me here. I'm so delighted. So for this particular Black History Month of 2025, I've been able to be in the limelight of even organizing it. So for me, it's quite exciting. Together with our collaborators, we've been able to set up and organize a line of events for our students, for the employees as well. And for our theme, as Esther mentioned, is spreading Black joy. So for this, we have organized and set up our events centered around how do we spread Black joy. So we actually had an opening of our Black History Month on the January 23rd. And I think this was a highlight of even actually, opening it out to students, to employees, to the community at large, as we even start February as a month. So the highlight of this event was actually the fashion show, where we had African Black Caribbean just express themselves in their attires.
The fashionable wears.
Yeah, and I can see today you're actually representing us. Thank you so much. So we also had a cake cutting, yes, on the event as well, with Amy Bad, our Associate Director of Student Experience and Engagement. We also had May Enriquez, the Student Engagement and Experience Programmer. We also had Esther here, the Inclusion and Belonging Programmer, and Banjo Olaleye, the Associate Director, Student Advising and Retention. So from having directors even come to our events, represent the employees, I'll say, of the school itself, really gives us a sense of inclusion and belonging even as students. And for this month, we have a lot of events lined up. We had our DTK Campus Afro Contemporary Movement and Mindfulness Workshop yesterday.
Amazing.
Where students actually came and engaged with a guest speaker, listened to poetry from African artists, and it was such an eventful kind of thing, and they got free yoga mats. So we also add free things just to attract students to such and give them that sense of come, enjoy yourself, take something home to just remember that that event that you attended actually has something for you. We have seen such high engagement of 100+ students to just come to all events, network, socialize, and feel, you're at home, even if you're far away from home. So for me, Conestoga has given us, as Black students, that place, that space to just express ourselves and be here and belong, in your aspect. And that's what we're actually doing. So we're also organizing the Brantford, with the partnership.
So now you're moving from
L'Oreal.
campus to campus.
Yes,
That's great.
as partnerships. So we have the Brantford
event
on the February 13th, where we go and get to experience people from outside Conestoga, the community outside there. How do they feel about Black History Month? How can we include ourselves with them? Such kind of thing. We also have the CSI and Student Engagement Partnership, where we have a Black History Month party here at the venue in Dune campus. So for students, please register in the SSP and let me see you there.
Where's the date for that one?
February 20th.
20th, okay.
Yeah.
What time is it?
It's starting from 5?
From 7 to 11.
From 7 to 11 p.m.
Yes.
Oh, it's party till almost midnight.
Exactly.
Okay.
But people have to go home. So
And then one more.
there's also one more. This year we've chosen to include our employees.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
we also joined the party.
Yes.
Good to know.
So we'll be having a monthly trivia, online trivia, on February the 18th and February the 21st from 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m.
Are the prizes to be won? Because I'm going to play.
There are prizes to be won. So see you there. So for these events, there will be registration in the SSP for students, but the event on the employees trivia will be sent in the board, in the monthly board year.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I say that you have really grown bigger than where you were last year with a lot of interesting activities you've lined up already. But I do have a question because I'm curious to know. You said you chose to spread Black joy. And what informed that decision or choice of the theme for this year?
Black joy is an act of resistance. And so, in celebrating Black history, we are also countering some of the narratives out there about Black people. Okay. And so we decided that because most of the time the narratives about Black people are negative.
Okay.
So we decided to make it positive and focus on our strength as a community.
And can I just add a little thing here? I always speak about joy. I really can resonate with that because I'm from Nigeria, and despite all our economic challenges and political issues, we still made it to the third happiest country in the world. You know, so how come we're joyful, we're happy despite all the challenges we go through? You know, we don't have a lot of development as such, but you know, our resiliency, our strength, our joy. So I'm grateful that you've thought about this very carefully, intentionally, and now you have picked a team that resonates very much with a large number of people. But what about those who are non-Blacks? How does your activity also ensure that everyone is included in this celebration?
With the exception of the launch, which was in January when we launched the event, as Leslie indicated, all our events are open to every student.
Good.
And for yesterday, when we had the Afro Contemporary Movement dance, most of the students were not African.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a lot of Indians present in the event.
Yes.
Which is so awesome.
Yeah. And one other thing we did on the 23rd of January was to share, we had about 120 pieces of cake, slices of cake, and we shared it with a lot of students outside the student engagement office. And these students were not Black. We also used that opportunity to educate people about Black history because some students had never heard about Black history.
Oh.
And so they asked questions and we answered the questions as well. So this is a good opportunity for everyone to heighten their awareness of issues relevant to the Black community and to learn some Black history. The trivia is open to all employees, not just Black people, and that's an opportunity for people to learn about Black history in a fun way.
Yes,
in
that's
Canada.
Entertainment.
Exactly.
You're educating yourself and then you're getting some fun out of it.
Yeah.
That's great. So I see your calendar there on our screen, and it shows you have highlighted a couple of activities. I see library outreach for February 5th. Could you talk a little bit more about this and then the partnerships you have with all these events going on?
Yeah, I think to add on to the question that you asked, the library outreach was open for all students in Conestoga.
Exactly.
It actually happened on Wednesday, outside the library, where we get to showcase that besides all the resources that the library provides for us, they actually African kind of resources that you can actually get to see for yourself and borrow. People actually borrowed books.
Nice.
Wow, which was awesome. You get to borrow, read, return it. So this was us reaching out to not only Black people, but the other communities here in Conestoga as a school to just get to see how do we interrelate or correlate together in the community.
And that's very profound. So could you please share about your partnerships? I see you have a couple of partners here on your screen. And what other activities do we have coming up in the near days or future? I see 13th, 18th, 21st, 20th, and 27th. Yeah.
So on the 13th, we have a Black History event at the Brantford campus. And the highlights, we are going to have guest speakers who will share goodwill messages. We will also have a dinner, African and Caribbean food.
Ooh, jollof rice.
Jollof rice.
Invite me, please.
Please come. It's open to all. We have spaces for 100 people.
Oh,
and
good.
it cuts across. It's not just limited to students. And it's jollof rice and peas.
Yeah, my thing.
And then the highlight of that event is we will have an interactive drumming and dancing by a visiting professor from the University of Ghana. He is visiting Wilfred Laurier University, and he's a professor of drumming and dancing. Good. And so we are going to have some excellent, I'm looking forward to it, drumming and dancing on that day. Okay. On the 20th, we will have a CSI student engagement party. It's a Black Excellence celebration event and a party. And then on
the 27th.
The 27th, that's more of, it's a self-care for the students, ABC committee members who have worked so hard and the student advisory group, who are student ambassadors who are supporting this initiative. It's a time for them to sit back now and do some self-care. So we engaged, or we collaborated with a Black health and wellness agency called Ofori, and the facilitator will just have a conversation with our students to enhance their health.
After all the hard work done, can I say
You deserve that pampering. Of course, you do deserve that pampering. That's amazing. So it's been great speaking with you both. It's Black History Month, and I know that as Blacks yourself, you might have a thing or two to want to share to our audience about Black History Month. What's your message, Leslie?
I think for me is that I can find community anywhere.
I love that.
Yeah.
So profound. I can find community anywhere.
Not only in my country. You know, when I came to Canada the first time, and I'm a student at Conestoga, so what is in it for me? You know, these are the questions you keep on asking yourselves. Where can I plug myself into? So when I met Esther at the welcome event, the Recreation Center orientation, and she told me, we do have the ABC community, and I was like, I cannot miss that for the world. So I went in for the welcome dinner event that happened in the fall semester, and see me now. I am happy in my community. So having that at the back of my mind, that I can find my community anywhere in this world, really is something, awesome.
It is inspiring. It is.
And inspiring.
Awesome. And what about you, Esther?
I would say that Black history is for everyone. And even if you are not part of the Black communities in Canada, this is an opportunity to learn about Black history. We are, at the end of the day, we are just human beings. And so join us, join the party.
And because we're all human beings, our humanity is what connects us together.
Exactly.
And I really want to reiterate what Leslie said. You can find community anywhere. And really, the color of your skin doesn't really matter as much. It's your heart that really matters. So thank you for joining us for this first episode. We will be back with our second guest. Stay tuned. There's so much more for you on the show today. It's Black History Month celebration, Conestoga.
There's a lot of challenges that our leaders are facing in not-for-profit right now. So the work we're doing here is going to help alleviate that. We're hoping that it helps to actually amplify and contribute to the work you're doing. You're in this room right now with some of the brightest lights in communications and design. Everyone here deserves a giant round of applause for your fantastic work.
Everybody at Conestoga, please welcome Jordan Kilgan.
I got to grow up with a father who I looked up to, who showed me what it takes to make it in sports, and a mom and stepdad who showed me what it takes to make it with the rest of my life. The thing I love about dunking, the way I take it more as an artist and as a way to develop myself and go all out. So when I saw that, I was like, let's see what happens if I go all out. If I sacrifice everything else I love and just go for this one thing and master this one thing. So I guess my biggest accomplishment is the fact that I got to live the life that I did, being a pro dunker, traveling the world, and doing what I love. Like, it's no idea that was possible. So I'm just grateful for that.
Food is not rational. Food is culture, habits, craving, and identity. That's according to Jonathan Safran Foyer, and I cannot agree more. Food is powerful, so powerful that it can determine our future. Today, we have the privilege of delving into the topic food culture and identity through the lens of an indigenous advocate for growing fresh, authentic cultural foods. My guest is the visionary founder of True North Tropical and Majestic Roots Foundation. As a passionate first-generation farmer, she has dedicated herself to cultivating fresh, culturally significant foods, ensuring that the rich tapestry of our culinary heritage remains vibrant and accessible. Through the Majestic Roots Foundation, she empowers Canadians of Afro heritage by fostering cultural pride, economic empowerment, and social well-being. Now, why are we discussing food and culture during Black History Month? Because food serves as a profound expression of cultural identity. It tells stories of heritage, migration, and resilience. By exploring these culinary traditions, we honor the rich histories and contributions of Black communities, ensuring that these narratives continue to thrive and inspire future generations. Please join me in welcoming Aramide Taiwo.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you in the studio today, Aramide.
Thank you.
I love your green dress.
Thank you.
Nice, nice, nice.
You look lovely yourself.
Thank you. It looks like the green herbs that you grow in your farm.
It's green. It's green.
And now let's talk about food. I mean, we all understand the language of food, regardless of where we are from. Everybody eats food. But now, in today's world, food is not a thing of concern because we don't get clean, culturally produced foods from our stores anymore. We see GMOs all over the place. But let me start by saying, please tell us, how does Black history play into food and identity?
Food is culture.
Yes.
And food is probably one of the strongest ways we stay connected with our culture. And as people of Black origin in diaspora, food also happens to be, and in this case I would say authentic food, is one of those things that we find difficult to get. And that's because we are from temperate climates. We are from climates where it is warm for longer. Most of our crops are perennial. And then we're now in this climate where it is cold and they don't thrive through the year. And so we're having to substitute. We're having to make do. One of my, I won't call it a pet peeve, but I really don't like it, is having to substitute ingredients. You're trying to make do all the time. Mm-hmm. And as a people, imagine that you consistently have to make do. You consistently have to make do. You cannot get the real thing you want. You don't enjoy the satisfaction, of getting the actual thing you want, especially on your plate. So I would say that food is practically the same thing as our culture. It is what is on the table. It's like when we have babies back home and they're being weaned. They're being weaned with natural, fresh vegetables. So things like ewedu, which is jute leaves, is in abundance and they get a lot of vitamin C's from it. But when you're on this side of the world and your baby is being weaned, you switch to formula. Yeah. You switch to all kinds of packaged products that you do not know what ingredients were used in making them. And we're finding kids to be growing up with all kinds of diseases and, health conditions that we didn't used to hear of. So definitely, food is a very strong part of Black culture and Black heritage.
For sure. And, oftentimes those memories that we have that linger for most of us are conversations we had on the dining table, whether we're having, family time together, a dinner time together. Those conversations, it's not just the food you're eating, no. it's what the food brings on the table. It brings connection and community. Yeah. And so when we look at ethnocultural foods, how does it bridge the gap for us in terms of connecting people together?
And I would say you kind of answered that in your question, because the ethnocultural food is beyond being an ingredient. It is a connection. It is a tool for connection, rather. It is when you serve a plate of, say, African garden eggs, or you serve fresh okra, or you serve, say, bitter leaves, that is food as well as medicine, right? There is a lot that goes in there. It's like when you're in community and people are having conversations around their health, and they're like, oh, who knows how I take care of this problem without this herb, right? When we have our foods, when we have access to our foods, then we're able to continue to build our community around our well-being, around the tools for our well-being, which in this case is our food. They're a critical element. There's an African saying, and I think it's become a more generic saying, that you should make food your medicine so that medicine does not become your food.
That's
and
correct.
So that is a strong way where our food plays a role in building community. Because when we're having those conversations, we're passing down knowingly or unknowingly, we're passing down the traditions that we have been gifted, right? Of how do you use herbs, how do you use spices, how do you use vegetables to keep yourself nourished as well as to heal the body.
So I'm not surprised that you chose this path because, I mean, to farm in Canada, it's a lot of work, I presume, because like you said, the climate isn't just right, but you have to make it work.
Yeah.
But first, can you tell us a little bit of stories around what or how does Black history, or what stories or traditions can we tie in the cultural foods to? I want to hear a clear story that other people who are non-Africans can understand or relate with. Do you have any story of sorts that we can relate to?
I would say, okay, so this is from my childhood. So growing up, my mom, one of her favorite things to eat was rice, jute leaves, and melon soup.
Okay.
That is unusual.
Oh,
right?
yeah, but I remember that combination, though.
That's an unusual
Yeah,
combination.
yeah.
However, as I grew up and I began to travel, I found that this was a beloved staple in Mediterranean diet.
Oh.
Like it is well loved. Like it basically is called royalty food. Right?
Really?
But back home, it was odd. And I began to realize that there was more that tied us as people in our food. There was more that tied us than separates us. And another story will be with corn. We like the starchier corn. It's less sweet. It's the non-GMO corn. It's bred for its nutrients and its filling properties. And when you come to Canada, you don't find that on the shelves, right? You find only sweet corn. And then in my engagement with some people, some other growers from the indigenous community, I realized that they had the same kind of corn that we use. And again, it ties back to there is more that ties us than separates us. And you know what they say about you don't know what you have till you lose it.
Sure.
And so when we're in diaspora, you begin rather to long for home.
Yeah.
And what are the first things that you begin to miss or crave is food. You want to eat that thing your mom makes.
Remember I told you I want to travel home just because I want to eat
food. So you want to eat that thing your mom makes a certain way, or a food that tastes a certain way. It's that, and we can all relate regardless of what your heritage is. My neighbor is Indian, and I'm Nigerian. I would grow I'll grow zobo, and I grow zobo just for the calyx, and they would grow it for the leaves.
Oh.
And so my neighbor saw my gardening, and he was like, "Oh, is that roselle?" I said yes, and he asked if I use the leaves. I'm like, "No, I just need the flowers." He's like, "Oh," and then he told me about how they would use the leaves to make curry and all of that, and so that gave me a more motivation to take care of that plant, because now the leaves are not going to waste. And when it came at harvest time, he got the leaves, I got the flowers. He made some nice mix with it.
Lovely.
So there's a lot of moments of connection that comes when we have the right kind of food.
Amazing. So now I'm really concerned about the prevalence of genetically modified foods that we find on our shelves. You go to the grocery store, you're almost often welcomed with GMO foods. And of course, they're more affordable, they're more accessible. So it's always, you want to check your paycheck and say, should I even try to get the organic ones? You know, because they're much more expensive. But how does the work you do with Majestic Roots Foundation and True North Tropical play into this narrative?
Thank you. So Majestic Root Foundation is a nonprofit organization that is working to help people of African ancestry to tackle tangible problems by ourselves, to solve problems for ourselves. And one of those problems we're trying to solve is the problem of food access and food security. And so I run True North Tropical as a business. I am teaching with Majestic Roots in collaboration. We deliver a program that helps other people of African ancestry to delve into agriculture, learn to grow food for yourself, and preferably learn to grow food as a business, because it's not one person is not enough to provide food for all of us. And as I've established, the foods that we grow is not just for people of African origin. They're food that are represented in other culture as well. Someone has to grow them locally. In the absence of local production, we end up with only the commercially grown ones, which are fed with GMO, pesticides, and all kinds of chemicals that should not be in the human body. So that's how our work reflects on it. We are demonstrating that it can be done. And we are also showing people that they can do it as well, because when more people are growing food, when there's more local access to food, then price would be it will become a bit more accessible.
sure.
But with regards to price itself, I think that conversation is beyond the production of the food. It's more of a systemic problem, because when people are paid well, then they can afford to make the right decisions
Sure.
for their health. People will say that organic food is expensive, but cancer drugs are more expensive.
Way, way more expensive.
Right?
True.
Diabetics medication is more expensive, and those are not enjoyable. When you buy good food, you actually enjoy the money you spend, and then you're taking care of your body. But when you buy cheap food, you're paying for it somehow. You might not be paying for it as the vegetable in your basket, but your body will pay for it in the long run. There's been all kinds of research. The scariest one I heard recently, or I read recently, is finding, what's the name of this pesticide? I forget. Is finding pesticide in fetus.
Oh my gosh.
So imagine, the baby has not even had the chance to be here,
Oh my gosh.
and we're dealing with the issues of the unhealthy options that we have in abundance around us.
You know, and earlier in the show, I did read out a mini documentary. I call it my TEDx talk, and it says the question is, what's on your plate? Yeah. You know, it's a hard choice to make when you're juggling. You have to pay bills, you have to buy food, and then you have family to feed. Sometimes we make these compromises, but they're not in any way an advantage for us, for sure. But can you just educate us or give us some insights to the difference between organic foods and GMOs? How to recognize the differences when we go to the stores to make those purchases?
To be honest, that's a very difficult or complicated question to answer. So I would say that organic is food that is grown naturally using heirloom seeds that have not been genetically modified. They are grown without any synthetic inputs like glyphosate. Glyphosate is the chemical I was trying to remember.
Okay.
Like glyphosate are not used to treat them. Genetically modified seeds, which are the GMO, are those that have been bred to resist pests, and they've been bred to respond well to pesticides like the glyphosate. They're bred really for commercial production, to be in abundance.
They look succulent, they're big.
To be in abundance rather than to be nutritious.
Yeah.
The organic food, on the other hand, is grown by regulation. There's no use of glyphosate allowed in true organic production, right? So that's where the difference is. But in terms of knowing the difference on the shelf, that is complicated. I would say the safest way to tell the difference between your organic and non-organic food is to know your organic food producer. Know your farmer.
Yeah.
You need to know who's growing your food. And that's the only way you can tell if your food is organic, because you know who's growing it, where they're growing it, how they're growing it. It's for us in Canada, for example, where the climate is a bit iffy, that can be difficult.
Yeah.
But you can make little choices consistently that gives a bigger impact on your general well-being. Maybe the whole year you cannot go to farmers market, but throughout summer you can. Throughout summer you can subscribe to a CSA box from a farmer that you know. You can buy a farm share from a farmer you know. True North Tropical sells farm shares. Okay. We have on our website, people can have access to pre-subscribe to our farm produce. Okay. And that's a way, and there are many black farmers that do that as well. There's a lot of them more like in the GTA, in this region, not as many. But if you look, you'll find that there are many black farmers doing great work producing food organically. Find your farmer and patronize your farmer. Then you're kind of protecting yourself and you're assuring yourself of the quality and the authenticity of the food you're eating.
Wow, this is such an interesting conversation and a timely one too, because I believe that we really need to tackle the issue of food accessibility, organic food accessibility. So how can we make organic food more accessible? I heard you when you said we can maybe purchase from a farmer that we really know how he's farming and what he's using to farm. But on a larger scale, I can buy for myself and my family, but on a larger scale, what can we do as a government, as a people, as a community to ensure that organic food is available and affordable as well?
So I'd say first is we will start with access to resources for the farmers themselves. I'm a first generation farmer, and that means that I do not have the benefit of land access, equipment. I do not have the credibility to walk up to a farm, to a bank and say, oh, give me a loan to grow this crop that you don't know, but I know that it would sell. You know, it's a complicated cycle for new farmers and organic farmers in particular. A lot of the bigger farmers are commercial growers. There's a few organic ones as well. But I think the important things are things like land access from the government side. Is people need spaces to grow in. We cannot convert all of our green spaces to houses or parking spaces.
True.
We need spaces to grow food. And when the land is converted for commercial use, it is difficult to revert it back to food production. So land access is a critical conversation that needs to be had, especially land access for subsistence growers, for people who are growing food that we eat, not food that goes into feed production or all the other things that they grow corn and soy for. The other is access to resources, so loans, equipment, things that would help make this work. Farmers have to deal with serious issues, mental health, burnout, financial distress. And imagine that for a small farmer whose finances are not great. A lot of the programs that are created are for bigger farming businesses. We need programs for smaller ones. We need programs for startup farmers that would protect them and guarantee them to take that risk. It's the same thing we do with startup tech companies. We invest in their startups. We take the chance on them to make the mistake and learn from it, if any, and then grow and scale those businesses. So those are the things I think we need to do. Provide land access, resources, and also promote them.
Amazing. And you just answered my next question. I was going to ask you, how do we support Black farmers in Canada? But you already provided that context. And I think that it's important for us to also balance sustainability while we go about farming. What's your take on sustainability and and inclusivity as well, so that we're not just growing, of course, I know food is culture and culture is food, but we are also growing food that's I'm happy to be here in Canada, so I'm able to eat what my Indian friend is also eating, and then we can have cross, cultural kind of interaction with food and all that. So how can we support such an initiative?
One of the things I like to do, I'm food curious, so I like to eat food from all kinds of places, and so I find it very heartwarming when I find people of other backgrounds relate to the foods that we're growing, right? I think having more occasions where we can mingle with food, try new foods. I saw there's an event happening downtown Kitchener, and I forget the name, but it's like a multicultural food event where foods of different backgrounds come. What that does is it exposes other people to foods of other culture. It exposes people to food of other culture, and so by trying, that can encourage you to patronize, to invest in such production for the future. I think also is beyond events is having community of growers, regardless of background. Waterloo region has a strong community gardening network where there are people of several backgrounds growing in the same space. And so there is...
is the land free, or you have to purchase?
No, you have to pay for it.
Okay.
But there is knowledge exchange, there is community, because to be honest, farming is hard. And so farming alone is harder. So having community helps, right? So those are the kind of things I feel are helpful to the sustainability of our local food production, is having community, having systemic support that would help encourage people to do more of this. There's a saying that every day, you might need a doctor once a year, you might need an engineer once a year, but you need a farmer every day of the year. But imagine if we all need farmers every day, but we do not have farmers. That'd be worse than how we do not have family doctors.
For sure.
Right?
For sure. Because we need food to survive.
We need food more than we need the doctors.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us now, how can we be part of what you're doing? People who are interested, who want to farm with you, who want to patronize your initiatives, where do we start?
That's pretty simple. For those who want to patronize True Not Tropical, we are an ethnic we are an ethnic farm. We're focused on growing vegetables, herbs, and spices of African heritage. You can go to our website. That's www.truenottropical.com. We're going to start. We're going to launch our CSA basket as well as our Flex Farm share next week. So you can go onto the website and just subscribe to the mailing list so that you're first to be notified once that is released. Another thing you could do in terms of learning is we collaborate with Majestic Roots Foundation. So if you're interested in learning how to grow your own food, or you're considering starting an agribusiness, you want to start growing food, you want to market food, you can join our you can join our Growing Roots. Sorry, you can join our Growing Roots program. That is a farm immersion program where people learn to produce food for themselves as well as a business. So those are two resources that are available to you. You can access them online. And if you have any questions, you can use the contact form, reach out to us, and we're always very glad to answer any questions you may have.
It's been great speaking with you, Aramide Taiwo, the founder of True Not Tropical and Majestic Roots Foundation. I want to say what you're doing is so amazing. And now we will say thank you so much for joining us today on the show. Thank you, Conestoga. Thank you for your time. Do well to follow us on social media at ccdtv.ca. It'll be great to have you follow us and see updates and what's trending in our community. Until next time, I'm your host, Mamuzo Wonker. Thank you for watching and have a good day.
You done?